Arab nations are unified in rejecting any proposal to relocate Palestinians from Gaza. At a high-level meeting in Cairo, foreign ministers from Egypt, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates and Qatar reaffirmed their commitment to the two-state solution, warning that any forced displacement would destabilize the region. Meanwhile, in Gaza, a new detainee exchange between Israel and Hamas has taken place under the ongoing ceasefire. While 3 Israeli detainees were released, 183 Palestinian detainees returned home. Inside Israel, public opinion remains divided on Netanyahu's handling of the ceasefire, with protests growing in Tel Aviv. Let's get in focus. A critical Arab ministerial meeting has taken place in Cairo, where top foreign ministers gathered to discuss the future of the Palestinian issue. The unified response was clear: absolute rejection of any plan to forcibly transfer Palestinians from Gaza. The meeting emphasized the two-state solution as the only path to peace, alongside urgent calls for Gaza reconstruction and humanitarian relief. Before we analyze the significance of the Arab position, let's review how this meeting has been reported. Al-Ahram Online reports that Arab nations have rejected any forced displacement of Palestinians, reaffirming the two-state solution as the only path to peace. The Cairo meeting emphasized Palestinian unity, Gaza's reconstruction, and the need for global action, with an international peace conference set for June 2025. As regional coordination strengthens, the challenge remains: can diplomacy shift the course of the conflict? To discuss this, we are joined by Mr. Mohammed Izzeddin, managing editor of Al-Ahram newspaper. Good afternoon to you, sir, and welcome to Qnews. Now, let me here start by asking you, this Arab ministerial meeting strongly rejected any relocation of Palestinians. What does this unified stance signify in regional diplomacy?
Certainly, Egypt plays a very important role. The formed committee in Cairo faced several challenges in the past days, but managed to overcome, thanks to the understanding and the point of views, despite there are difficult sometimes, but along with the consultations with all parties, in addition to the great appreciation that Egypt is enjoying and the political way of Mr. President, there is an appreciation of Egypt's role. Also, Egypt has managed, along with Qatar and the EU partners, and certainly the United States, has managed to consult with the negotiators, with the Israelis, and that led to the overcome of such obstacles that were about to have a hold over the ceasefire. But the Egyptian diplomacy, with the cooperation and with the mediators, such as the state of Qatar, that made this measurement to go throughly and smoothly. Also, to complete the handing over the Israeli detainees and receiving the Palestinian prisoners. I think if matters as planned, particularly with the entrance of new parties and a ministerial meeting was held in Cairo. In addition to the phone call by President Trump to His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, and Egypt reaffirms that on the necessity of reaching a peace based on the two-state solution and the U.S. role in sponsoring the ceasefire agreement, particularly the Israeli side. Benjamin Netanyahu is facing a great pressures from the far right wing, and also faces a pressure coming from the new U.S. administration as president of America desired to the swap exchange to be done before he comes into office. So President Trump is very keen to complete this measurement to be added to his legacy so he can be named as a sponsor of peace in the Middle East.
Right. Again, let me here say my question was about the Arab ministerial meeting. And the Arab ministerial meeting has rejected any relocation of the Palestinians, definitely reiterating the position of Egypt and Jordan. So what does this unified stance signify for regional diplomacy?
The proposals, as what Israel tried to do in the ground by demolishing the Palestinian houses and destroying completely the houses and the cities. The goal was to push the Palestinians to go out of their territories, in addition to the evacuations of them houses from their residence in the West Bank. The policy of demolishing houses Israel used to do to support the settlement plan that started to be increased in the Palestinian territories. But along with its raids and invasion in the Gaza Strip throughout the past 15 months.
So let me here ask you, what is a unified position, Arab position, signify in regional diplomacy? This unified position that we have seen today coming out of this urgent meeting, what does this mean for regional diplomacy?
Today that included Saudi and the Secretary General of reaffirming that they reiterating the Egypt's welcoming as long with the sponsored by the United States and the rejection of the displacement or to the extension of settlement, and also was welcomed to the ceasefire phases. And Cairo has called upon of a conference to be convened in Cairo for reconstruction, in addition to call upon the international community to supervise the facilitation of the humanitarian aid into Gaza Strip. And with respect to the fundraising conference to be sponsored by Kingdom of Saudi Arabia within months, in addition to reaffirm of absolute rejection of the Palestinians from their land, or the policy of demolishing houses, or the attempt of changing the reality and the necessity of having the Palestinian state between the West Bank and the Gaza Strip and to be adjacent I mean that Palestinians should have a full sovereignty upon their land and based on the lines of 1967.
Right. Definitely, a united position means a lot coming out of very powerful countries regionally. Now, how does the opposition of Egypt and Jordan reflect national security concerns and long-term strategic interests?
Certainly, Egypt, along with Jordan, steadily rejected the proposals were launched to receive the Palestinian permanently or temporarily, which means the liquidation of the Palestinian cause. Egypt, along with the Arab countries, on top of which Jordan, are very eager to complete the process of the Palestinian cause in reaching the two-state solution. So the solid stance made by Egypt and Jordan, when we've seen this ministerial meeting along with Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates and the mediator of Qatar, we found an Arab consensus by the presence of the Secretary General of the League of Arab States, represented the Arab countries administratively, along with the Palestinian Authority, to empower the Palestinians to run their countries, and in the beginning to have Palestinian supervision on the process of reconstruction and to revive the life totally in the Gaza Strip, particularly after the gross destruction. Along with the participation of Saudi Arabia and Emirates means that they will be having a great role in supporting the process of reconstruction that would indicate for fruitful outputs in addition to Egypt's pioneer role, along with the understanding related to the detainees handing over and with the consultation with the Palestinian resistance. The Arab meeting today sent a great and strong message to the whole world that there is a determination of the unity of the Palestinian people, and there is no solution but the two-state solution, and the Arab countries, on top of which Egypt and Jordan, fully rejecting the displacement and the liquidation of the Palestinian cause, and very much keen to complete the humanitarian role through the Rafah crossing border to receive the wounded patient.
Yes, very clear, Mr. Aiz, very clear, sir. And thank you so much, Mr. Izzeddin, for your insights and your valuable analysis. And definitely Arab nations have sent a clear message to the international community. Palestinians must not be forcibly displaced, and the two-state solution remains the foundation for peace. However, with tensions escalating and Netanyahu's government refusing to engage, the future of regional diplomacy remains uncertain. Now we turn to Gaza, where a new detainee exchange has reshaped Israeli and Palestinian dynamics. As part of the ongoing Gaza ceasefire, Hamas has released 3 Israeli detainees in exchange for 183 Palestinian detainees, marking the 4th such exchange since the ceasefire began on January 19, 2025. The release has sparked celebrations in both Gaza and Tel Aviv, while intensifying political debates within Israel, where Netanyahu faces both public support and criticism over his handling of the crisis. Before analyzing the significance of this exchange, let's examine how the situation is being reported. Now, the 4th release of Palestinian detainees has sparked both celebrations and concern. As the National reported, many arrived in poor physical conditions, showing signs of malnutrition, beatings, and neglect. Some had to be carried off the buses, a stark contrast to the well-treated Israeli detainees released from Gaza. Ramallah's Mayor Isa Qassis called them patriots, urging the world to see the ordeal. With further detainee release expected, the focus shifts to the treatment of Palestinian detainees and whether the PA or the Palestinian Authority can strengthen its position amid rising political tensions. And to discuss this, we are joined by Mr. Ahmed Fatah spokesperson. Thank you so much for being with us on Qnews. And this marks the 4th round of detainee swaps under the ceasefire. Now, how does this impact negotiations between Hamas and Israel?
Thank you for having me. You know, the Palestinian prisoners have suffered immensely and from deep oppression in jails and spent most of their life in jails. Their release is a figure of freedom that the Palestinian is missing for a long time. How does it affect the Israeli government? I think the Israeli government is affected or only by far-right extremists who don't care about the Palestinian people, about their freedom or about peace. They only look about colonial expansionism and occupation and inflicting more damage to the Palestinian structure. The internal dispute between the Israeli political parties is a dispute over power, not a dispute over actual politics. All of them most of them, unfortunately, adopt the policy of no solution and no peace, only further occupation and apartheid.
Now, public sentiment in Israel has shifted, with 73% now supporting these exchanges. What does this tell about the political pressures on Netanyahu? Of course, we're speaking about the internal ones.
Yes. Now, the public opinion want prisoners exchange because they want to see their hostages released. And I think probably the majority in Israel as well feel that this war needs to end. But the political spectrum is a different story. They want to invest this war into political gains. And unfortunately, this is, yes, of course, it's putting pressure on Netanyahu, but it's not putting any pressure on the political program of Israel, which is occupation and apartheid. We are afraid that this exchange is going to not be completed after stage 1. That's why it requires all the efforts from mediators and the Arab world and the international community to guarantee that Israel will not violate this ceasefire deal and to translate that ceasefire into a comprehensive political solution that would make a sustainable peace.
Right. Now, while many have already started celebrating the detainee releases, the right-wing factions in Israel oppose the ceasefire. Now, could this lead to a political crisis for Netanyahu's government or a kind of certain divide?
Well, we can't make any assumptions right now. There's a lot of pressure on Netanyahu from different aspects. He's a corrupt person. He's a war criminal. He's wanted for the ICC. And the far right want even more crimes to be committed in the name of Israel. The left is weak. The left is silent. The left has, unfortunately, went right as well. They want occupation on the part, and they do not provide any kind of alternative to the Israeli politics. I see that the far right and the ultra right is the one who's driving this policy forward.
Now, the ceasefire definitely, as you said, respectively, remains fragile as both sides maintain opposing demands. Now, do you believe this truce can extend beyond its current phase, and how?
Well, we hope that the ceasefire will be the first step to begin with, to devise a global comprehensive solution for the Palestinian cause. The world now is witnessing this crime of the century with shock, and this destruction in Gaza and the 2 million Palestinian refugees is a huge number. That is a crisis, a refugee crisis we have between our hands, as well as the invasion in the West Bank and the destruction of the infrastructure of Palestinians reflect that this is an extermination campaign that Israel is driving against the Palestinian people. Now, the world is facing these facts, but still not acting as it needed to act. The Arab world, of course, and the mediators, and especially Egypt, has played a major role in making a big stance against this occupation and making a solid stance against the forced displacement of the Palestinian people in Gaza, which is an old scheme of the Zionist Israeli colonization since the 50s that want to empty the land from its people. Of course, the Arab world has adopted a unified position against this scheme and is categorically refused because, in fact, this is a crazy idea that would actually make a bigger problem to the Arab world and to the whole region. This is not going to solve it. The only solution is the two-state solution, and every reasonable human being addressed this fact. Now, the international community is asked to act. There is the Hague group, in ICC, which put a great position that they want to continue their process in the legal arena to bring justice to the Palestinian people and to arrest the war criminals. The world needs to follow suit. Unfortunately, until now, the Western powers is still reluctant to take divisive and deterrent policies against the Israeli occupation and apartheid, especially after we all have witnessed that their scheme is pretty exposed and obvious right now.
Mm-hmm. Now, definitely the humanitarian crisis in Gaza continues, and tens of thousands are still displaced. Now, how does the ongoing ceasefire reflect on the ability for aid distribution and reconstruction efforts?
Well, after 15 months of total destruction, and as Trump said, it's a demolition ground, they really need a lot of aid. There is a humanitarian catastrophe. This is not an easy process. The ceasefire, of course, is a precondition for any aid to enter and any reconstruction to take place. But the amount of damage is huge that requires, as well as the aid and some sort of peace environment, also a political solution. That political solution would put a horizon for everyone to have hope and to bring Gaza back to where it was. UN says that the rebuilding of houses in Gaza will take until 2040. That is massive destruction that is catastrophic, of course. And the healthcare system requires 12 years to be rebuilt. So this is not a process of 1 year or 1 month or 1 week. This requires a political, comprehensive solution that Israel needs to face the fact that they are in violation of the international law. They are in violation of the two-state solution. And I believe America cannot continue to play the role of the lawyer to Israel. And now it has to play the role of preserving peace and stability to the whole region. This cause is a central cause for 2 billion Muslims and for billions of Muslims, for billions of people around the world who believe in human rights and dignity. It's not going to be easy to just keep persecuting the Palestinian people and hope for the best. It's not going to be, this is disconnected from reality.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you so much, Mr. Fatouh, for your analysis, and definitely this latest detainee exchange underscores the delicate nature of the ceasefire with strong public support but furious political opposition within Israel. While negotiations continue, underlying tensions remain, shaping the uncertain path ahead for Gaza and Israel. Many thanks for watching, and thank you so much for continuing with us on In Focus. I'm Mona Mosalhi, and see you next time.